Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Build It's edition of our Spotlight series, our latest edition here. And I'm with James Dibou from uvex Safety Australia. And today we are here to talk about all things hearing and hearing protection within the construction space. Welcome, James.
Thank you very much for having us, Paul.
No worries, mate. And I understand you've just taken over this department in uvex. You're formerly in charge of the eyewear protection, and
Correct.
you're just getting started on this.
Yep.
But we're going to have a discussion today about all things to do with hearing protection and why it's so important. I mean, it really is a bit of a stealth hazard, isn't
Yeah.
it? Hearing, it's, I guess, of all the PPE areas, it's the one where tradies seem to overlook the most. I guess they're very quick to understand they need to put on the gloves, they need to put on the hard hat on site. But hearing, why is hearing protection something that we see getting ignored a lot?
Oh, hearing protection is basically a invisible threat, correct? So it generally, we often assume with noise, in relation to positive type of affirmations regarding music, sound, voice, conversation, etc. But when it comes to industrial noise and the potential causes of concern regarding that, then that can amplify, I guess, some of the serious concerns regarding hearing loss in general. Your hearing is very important. You've only got one set of ears and all the receptors that go into turning that sound into wavelengths that, turns your brain into electromagnetic signals to hear what you're listening to. When it comes to deafness, it obviously has a huge impact on one's life, and general hearing loss in general can really impact mental health, your social aspects of life, whether it be talking to people, having conversations. So we need to be more aware of, I guess, some of the implications there regarding excessive noise and then obviously noise protection in general.
And it is something that seems to impact tradies in particularly higher rates. For the statistics show the tradies, those that are working in these loud environments,
Yep.
they're particularly susceptible to this. And what many people don't seem to realize is once your hearing is damaged, that's pretty much it. You can't reverse hearing loss. Once those signs of tinnitus start, it's very hard to reduce them. And any permanent damage that's caused, that's basically with them for the rest of their life, and they've got to deal with it.
Yeah, correct. It's irreversible in a way as well. So understanding the idea of noise and how to protect yourself is very important, specifically in the construction space. When it comes to using tools, whether it be drills to grinders, and then the range of, obviously, the materials that we're using from steel to timber, that can create high frequency levels of noise and wavelengths that can then obviously transfer and damage the ears. So understanding the type and levels of protection is very important depending on the application that you're doing or the jobs that you're performing on a daily basis.
Yeah, and then let's talk about some of there's some other risks obviously there as well. It's not just about hearing loss here, the hearing protection is important for other reasons
Correct.
that can also keep you safe on the job site. I understand one of the most important ones there is obviously the risk of distractions, as well as productivity. You might not get something done in time. Then you end up staying behind. You're tired, or you got maybe less light to work around,
Yep.
and an injury can cause that way. But you both got distractions. That's an issue as well, right?
Distractions is a big one. Correct.
And productivity.
Yeah, distraction and productivity is a huge, obviously, impact regarding excessive noise. We obviously want to perform the job, and generally that coincides with performing something that is dangerous, one, to the physical body, but two, to other people around us, especially on a work site. So understanding that proper hearing protection can aid focus, it can aid a job function and efficiency is very important. But there's also liabilities on a private sort of point of view when it comes to Safe Work Australia regulations, and then advising obviously on the right amount of safe hearing protection for those staff on site at any given point in time, and making sure that they are well equipped for that job at hand. So there's a number of different factors here and variables that can affect the individual, as well as the employer that they're employed to as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And I guess one of the other things that people do ignore is it's not just about loud sounds. You could be on site, listening to a jackhammer go right next to you for a couple of minutes every day, but a lesser sound that is being repeated over a longer period. If you're in a loud environment repeatedly day after day, that's actually going to do more environment, even if it's not quite so impactful at the time, than
Yeah,
being next to something super loud. In most instances,
yeah, correct.
once or twice,
So
this is really something that, hey, okay, like I can deal with that noise. You can't. This is something that creeps up on you. That's why they do call it the stealth hazard in terms of PPE. That's
yeah,
from what I understand.
100% agree. I guess a lot of the times people conceive hearing loss or damage in relation to high frequency or high pitch sounds, as an example, like shooting a gun. But what the prolonged effect is, even at a lower sort of decibel level and listening to ongoing site traffic and noise, tools, all the types of clatter that goes on, particularly on a construction site, listening to that for 8 to 10 hours per day can have a long-term effect, even though the perceived volume level isn't that high. So that's what we need to understand and obviously convey to the end user or the market of earplugs and earmuffs specifically, is that sound, irrespective of the high pitch frequency noises versus the long screwed out work days, can really impact hearing in general.
Yeah, and let's talk about what some things people can do. Obviously, we'll get on to what you guys are doing and I guess the latest products out there for the people who want the most protection and want that most security, not to have that hearing damage, that hearing loss later in life. But in terms of little things people can do outside of hearing loss, what are some tips that you have perhaps in the way they manage their work or exposure throughout the day, how they can sort of take themselves away from that for hearing loss protection?
Well, there's a couple things. I think one of the big ones is then taking that understanding of hearing loss or hearing damage to their home. Listening to music very loud on your hour drive in can just as severely impact your hearing. Then obviously compounding that is your 8 to 10 hour workday followed by an hour drive home. So what we need to consider here is how much noise you're being exposed to on a daily basis, and not just at work. So whether or not you're coming home in the afternoon and mowing the lawns and not using adequate ear protection, the effects then of hearing damage become compounded between that home and work-life balance. Also, too, is that no individual ear canal is the same shape and size. So having a one-stop fit solution, is really impossible. And that's why it is up to manufacturers like uvex and others out in the market to provide options for the consumer to pick. So whether that be a small, medium, or large plug, different shapes, sizes, or even earmuffs, is making sure that we provide an adequate level of protection for different users with different ear shapes, different ear canal sizes, to making sure that we can cover everybody in the market as adequately as possible.
Yeah, let's get on to some of those options that are out there for the different budgets, or maybe someone who's doing a different level. You've got some people out there who just do a lot of DIY. Perhaps they're not looking to buy the most expensive piece of hearing protection equipment. Maybe that's a bit overboard for them.
Yeah.
So let's go through what do we have out there at the moment for I guess your DIYer, and then we'll go through the ranks. You sort of general trading, and then someone who's on site every day listening to jackhammers, loads of people, as you said, that wants the very best of the best. What do we got at the moment that's really going to keep them secure?
Cool. Yeah, we can certainly talk to that. And uvex has a pretty broad offer in terms of the plugs and earmuffs that we have in our portfolio to help service, working at home as a DIYer or working on a construction site, and beyond. Yeah. So I guess the biggest thing is understanding what the noise exposure level is. And there's a lot of applications now that are free that allow consumers to really check what that noise capacity is or what that overload is for them. And then really working back to a safe working load, which is around 82 to 85 dBs. And we can work over an 8 to sort of 12-hour period at any given point in time. So whether or not you're working on a construction site, or you're working at home, doing a trade on some handiwork on the weekend, understanding what that noise level exposure is, and then coming back down to that safety limit is ideal. So essentially, the class rating is very important on the plugs and the earmuffs, as well as the dB rating as well, which all, again, have to be approved under the Australian-New Zealand standard in order to obviously pass and verify that product. So for those users, uvex have a range of basically low entry point sort of earplugs under our high-com range, which allow easy insertion into the ear canal. It quickly fills up the ear canal, still allowing that noise protection, but maybe due for some sort of minor sort of housework, use of hammers, drills, etc. When you're on a construction site, the level of protection does need to go up, and you will need a higher dB rating of earplug as well. Those ones, I guess the material compounds used provide a lot more of an adequate protection in terms of filling up and absorbing or deafening the sound around you. And those instances, you might need 25 to 30 dB and beyond in terms of that protection. And then after that point in time, this can be really depends on the user preference. So the idea of earplugs for everybody isn't necessarily the right thing. So in some instances, they might prefer an earmuff. It really depends on what's comfortable for them, the adequacy in inserting the earplug versus putting on a muff, and all the other PPE that goes in conjoining with that, because obviously there's a lot of PPE that can fit onto one person's face.
And James, if I'm listening to this and it's something that's a real concern for me, maybe I'm out in the mines or in a construction zone that's particularly noisy at the moment.
Yep.
Do you have one product, if I came to you and said, hey, I want the best value for money, I want something that's really going to protect me out there, maybe one for earplugs, maybe one for earmuffs. Is there something out there at the moment that you think really is a cut above in terms of the tech that's in them?
Yeah, so I think there's two. I'll talk about one is earplug range. I guess anything in our product portfolio will really do the trick in terms of the design and the infrastructure that we've built up to protect people's hearing. Our XFit range is a great starting point for high dB capacities and a class 5 plug. And then when it comes to earmuffs, again, we have an array of different products in different class ratings, particularly around class 4 and 5. As well as some dB ratings as well within that. We've also got a new product in the lineup now, which is our uvex Access 1 Bluetooth earmuff. So a lot of people want to listen to music while they're actually being protected at work. We'll be able to answer a phone call.
Nice.
Our Access 1 earmuffs feature dual Bluetooth connectivity, so it means you can connect up to 2 devices at one time. You can take calls, listen to music, and know that you're being protected from the outside noise that you obviously want to be protected from the interim. So they're probably the two sort of bee's knees in terms of a basic but really good overview in terms of the market offer in terms of what we can cover.
Yeah, that last one does sound pretty damn handy. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
for
I'll
sure.
definitely be choosing that. But anyway, James, thank you so much for your time today, and we'll look forward to catching up with you very soon. Thanks for everyone for listening. Again, this is the latest in our Build It Spotlight series, so keep an eye out for those. We'll be talking all things construction throughout the rest of 2024 and 2025. Thank you very much, everyone, and see you next time.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, everyone. Cheers.